Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay in getting started with this hearing. The next case on the court docket is C200183CPS. This is in the interest of Isaiah Barajas, Leila Anave, and Nova Candela. The hearing today is an initial permanency hearing, but there's also set for hearing today a motion for monitor return filed by Galen Moeller on behalf of the respondent mother. The hearing today is being conducted pursuant to emergency orders of the Texas Supreme Court via Zoom video conference. Participating in the hearing today on behalf of the department is caseworker Stormy Mims, Supervisor Shauna Smith, and Regional Attorney Jason Jett. The mother of the children is Delilah Flores, and she is participating in the hearing with her attorney, Galen Moeller. The father of the child, Isaiah, is Jonathan Ivan Barajas, who has previously entered an appearance in the case, and he is not present today. My understanding is he's currently incarcerated in a facility in the state of New Mexico. He has not filed any request with the court for a court-appointed attorney, and non-attorney purporting to represent him has entered an appearance in the case on his behalf. The father of the other three children is Jonathan Lorenzo Candela, and he is participating in the hearing today with his attorney, Brad Harrelson. Andrew Graves is participating as the attorney and guardian ad litem for the children. Laura Candela, who I believe is the current caregiver for the children, is also participating in the hearing today. And Rebecca Alexander, who is with the family shelter here in San Angelo, is also participating in the hearing today as well. If I didn't say so before, the children aren't excused from participating in the hearing today. All right, Mr. Jett, is the department ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to call Ms. Mims.
Let me make sure everybody else is ready. Mr. Mueller, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
And Mr. Graves?
Ready, Judge.
And Mr. Harrelson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Jett, you were going to call Ms. Mims, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Mims, Mr. Candela, Ms. Flores, Laura Candela, and let's see, if I didn't say so, Ms. Mims, and Ms. Smith. And is anybody going to call Max Alexander? You anticipate? Okay.
No.
All right. If y'all, each of the person's name, if you can raise your right hand, please. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony given today before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Mr. Jett, I believe you indicated you were calling Ms. Mims.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mims, please state your name for the court.
Stormy Mims.
And how are you employed, Ms. Mims?
I'm the CBS caseworker for this case.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the mother's compliance with their service plan?
Delilah has been very compliant with the service plan. She has completed all of her services. She still is continuing to go to family counseling and also individual counseling.
All righty. Is there anything, and again, other than continuing the counseling, is there anything left for her to do on her plan?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Other than going to counseling, is there anything left for her to do on her plan?
No.
Okay. Are there any barriers to reunification?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Moeller, on behalf of Ms. Flores, has filed a motion for monitored return. What's the department's position on that monitored return?
We are in agreements with the monitored return.
What about the father, Mr. Barajas? What about his compliance with the service plan?
Mr. Barajas has not been in contact with the department up until just this last week. He is currently incarcerated and will be incarcerated for at least another couple of weeks. He has not complied with any of his service plan at all so far.
All right. So the first thing he needed to do was to stay in contact with the department in order to begin his plan.
Yes, sir. I also have sent him parenting packets and also sent him AA and NA packets since he's been incarcerated.
Have you received anything back from him?
No, sir.
So for the father, Mr. Candela, what about his compliance with his service plan?
Mr. Candela has done all of his services as well. He does continue to go to AA meetings 3 to 4 times a week. He's done very, very well on his plan, on his service plan. And the only other thing I believe that he was trying to do was an MHMR assessment. And they had told him while I was on the phone that they didn't do those. So we're working on those, working on that to get that completed for him.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. They don't do what kind of an assessment don't they do?
They had told him that they didn't do a mental health assessment if he didn't have a mental health diagnosis.
That's something you've run into before?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is that something you've encountered before through MHMR?
No.
All right. Currently, what would be his barriers to reunification?
Just continuing his AAs and his sobriety.
What's Mr. Candela's visitation like?
He has not had any visitation with the children. That was an order from Judge Banks. So he does have several letters of recommendation for a visitation, but he has not had visits with the kids.
All right. Where are these children placed currently?
They're currently placed with Laura and Gio Candela.
And where is that geographically?
That's here in San Angelo.
The judge were to approve a monitored return. What would the terms of that monitored return be? When would it start? Et cetera.
We could start actually today. And then I would do weekly visits just to make sure that the children are safe and where they're wanting to be. The other thing is that they continue their individual counseling because that is very important for them.
Have you been to Ms. Flores' home?
Yes, I have.
Is it appropriate for her and the children?
Yes, it is.
Would that be the home that they were all living in prior to the removal?
I do believe so, yes.
All right. And does the department have any additional recommendation for visitation for Mr. Candela if that were to change?
I would say if that was to change, supervised visitation with Mr. Candela.
Supervised by the department?
Yes, by the department.
Is that a topic that's been discussed with the children's counselors?
I have talked with their counselor, Lori, and she stated that she recently has just been seeing them due to the other caregivers not taking them. So she really didn't have a whole lot of recommendation other than the kids do want to see their dad.
The children's medical and dental up to date?
Yes, they are.
Children taking any medications?
Isaiah does take a medication for ADHD, and I will have to get you the name of it because I'm not sure exactly. They just changed it.
Is that a change since your report, or is it in your report?
It's in the report.
Any other additions or corrections to your report filed with the court?
No, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Mims. Your Honor, I'd like to pass the witness.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Mueller, did you have any questions?
Yes, Ms. Mims, relative to the counseling that Delia is taking, she has completed all of the court order counseling. Is that correct?
Delilah,
Delia, yes.
yeah, she has completed all of her court ordered. She is still continuing the family counseling.
And that is on a voluntary basis on her part. Is that also correct?
Yes.
So she, on her own, decided to continue in this counseling beyond what was required.
The family counseling was actually a part of the court order, so she's continuing that. But her individual counseling, she has continued on her own.
Pass the witness.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'm sorry, Mr. Harrelson, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Mims, regarding MHMR and the assessment, do you think that was a misunderstanding on MHMR's part? As you said, you haven't encountered this before, or do you have any kind of take on that situation?
We were actually going to just wait and get a different person, honestly, because he was on the phone with me whenever they told him that. And like I said, I've never encountered this so far. So we're going to work on that together.
Okay, so very good. And I thank you for that. So the fact that it hasn't happened is not due to a lack of effort or willingness on Jonathan's part, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now you said you've received several reference letters regarding Jonathan. How many have you received?
I received one from Angel Flores, which is his counselor. I received one from his the AA, and I'm not sure exactly what he is, but from his AA group, and also one from Charles McKnight.
And Charles McKnight is at ADAC, correct?
ADAC, yes.
And he is a substance abuse counselor?
Yes.
Okay. Now those letters are not in evidence, so I'm not going to ask you to specifically tell us what those letters say, but could you, in general, are any of those letters negative in regard to Jonathan?
No, they're all very positive.
And have you taken those letters into account as well as your interactions with Jonathan through the course of this case? When you make the statement to the court that visitation with the children could occur, but it would definitely need to be supervised just because of the lack of contact up to this point?
Yes, I believe that Jonathan has done very well. And so, yes, I believe that supervised visitation would be, as long as it's with the department, yes.
And you've been dealing with these children through the course of this case as well. So do you feel qualified to say that you think it would be in the children's best interest to have visitation and contact with Jonathan, controlled as it would be through this case?
Yes, I do believe that the children are ready to see their dad.
And do you believe it would be in their best interest to see their dad?
I do, yes.
So give me just a moment, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Now, with regard to your statement that Jonathan is in full compliance, does that include the fact that he has not, to your knowledge, tried in any way, shape, or form to initiate any contact with either Delilah or the children in violation of any court orders?
And that is correct. To my knowledge, he has not tried to contact Delilah or the children.
Okay. Do you know how long Jonathan had been sober to this point?
I cannot remember the exact days. I want
Well,
to say 150 days.
I can get that from him. I'll ask him. I was just wondering. But to your knowledge, he's been sober throughout the course of this case, correct?
Yes, he has.
And that's been through active involvement with AA and with substance abuse counseling, outpatient counseling, if you will.
Yes,
Do you know if he's chairing AA meetings?
that is what he has told me. Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Graves, did you have any questions?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mims, you were talking about how the department does not object to the motion for monitored return filed by Mr. Moeller. Have you visited with the children about what their desires are?
Yes, I have.
And what is their position, to your knowledge, regarding going home back with mom?
They want to go home as soon as possible.
And these kids throughout this case have been moved around quite a bit, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Matter of fact, more than what we normally get in a regular case. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Do you think it would be more beneficial for the children to be able to be with their mom still on a monitored basis, with the department fully engaging with mother and the dads if they're available, so that they can see if a permanent solution would fit?
Yes.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Thank you. Mr. Jett, did you have any other questions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Mueller, any other questions?
No, yeah.
And Mr. Harrell?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Jett, did you have other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mueller, did you have any other witnesses?
Just Delilah.
And let's see, ma'am, if you could unmute your device, please. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Mueller.
For the record, your name and address.
Delilah Flores, 1705 Ellis Street, San Angelo, Texas, 76905.
How long have you lived there
I've lived here for 7 months.
in this particular house?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you moved to this house from where?
I was previously at 201 West 16th Street in San Angelo.
And there was a question raised a while ago. Was this the house where you and the children were living when the removal took place?
Yes, sir. We had just recently moved in.
And the rent on that house is currently subsidized, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have a contract with HUD, I believe?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And have you discussed with HUD having the children live there?
Yes, sir.
And that fit in with that particular lease and the subsidy?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Will that fit with the lease and the subsidy?
Yes, the children were they were on the lease prior to the incident, and so they're welcome to live there anytime.
Okay. And have you discussed that with HUD?
Yes, they are aware.
Are you now employed?
Yes, sir. I'm employed full-time.
And what type of work are you doing now?
Customer service for debt collections,
And the name of that company?
account control technology.
And do you work at a facility or at home?
I work at home.
So if the children will come back to the house, you'll still be there during the daytime. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. I have also gotten pre-approved for childcare for Monday through Friday, just because my employer does require a quiet workspace. So I have got childcare pre-arranged as well.
And where's this childcare at?
It would be at Young Scholars Academy located off of Pulliam.
And is the financial arrangement such that you can afford?
Yes, sir. They base my share of cost off of my income.
Let's discuss some of your, I believe the testimony is that you have completed your services
Yes, sir.
and you are still still taking personal, family counseling. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I did complete family counseling and individual, and family counseling was one that I voluntarily decided to continue with because I believe that it was in the children's best interest to do family counseling.
So you are continuing. When did you complete the family counseling plan?
I don't remember the exact date, but it was beginning of July.
And you have continued attending counseling since that time?
Our next scheduled appointment is actually July 26th for me and my son Isaiah, because there was vacation and holidays in between that we had to schedule out. So our next one is July 26th.
Are you ready for the children to come home?
Yes, sir.
Do you know of any impediment or reason that would create a problem?
No, sir.
Are you asking the court to grant your motion?
Yes, sir.
Ask the witness.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jett, any questions?
No, I don't believe so, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Earlston, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Graves?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Muller, any other witnesses?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Earlston, any witnesses?
I'll call Jonathan Candela.
All right, thank you. Sir, if you'll unmute your device, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Earlston.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jonathan, how long has it been since you've seen your children?
7 months.
Now, are you 7 months, you said?
Yes, sir, to the day.
Now, you're a father to Layla, Anave, and Nova, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you also have a relationship with Isaiah?
Yes, sir. That is my son. I've raised him since he was 2.
So when you say your children, are you referring to all 4 children?
Yes, sir. I have 4 kids.
And so you consider Isaiah one of your children as you do the younger 3?
Yes, sir. Without a doubt.
Okay, how long have you been sober?
7 months.
And would that be 7 months today?
To the day, sir.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with AA.
I go to about 4 to 5 meetings a week. I chair 2 meetings, Mondays and Fridays. I've been to Gathering of the Eagles, big AA convention, and I've gone to a couple district meetings as well.
And in Cherry meetings, do you have a key to the door of the AA facility?
Yes, sir. I got given a key a couple months ago when I first started chairing.
Okay, and which meeting is that? Where does it meet?
It's La Louisiane on 37th Street at 8 p.m. every day.
And when was are you eager to have some contact with your children?
Yes, sir. I've been waiting.
Okay. With regard to your services, have you completed all your counseling?
Yes, sir. I completed everything. I still go to parenting classes as well on Thursdays at 6 o'clock every Thursday.
Is that additional requirement or something you've just continued to do?
I just continue to do it, sir.
Okay. Now, there's a criminal charge on the underlying incident for this case. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have hired, you've retained your own lawyer for that matter, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is that Tip Hargrove?
It is.
And is he actively working with the district attorney to resolve this matter?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
Or to date, it has not been resolved, but you are actively pursuing that. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
And so, based on that criminal charge, do you have a no contact order in place for Delilah?
Yes, sir. For Delilah, I do.
Okay, but as far as a criminal charge, there's there's nothing in your no contact that references the children. Is that right?
No, sir, there's not.
Okay.
They were near the incident or anything when anything happened, so.
Okay. So if the judge orders visitation to be supervised at CPS, would you like that to be one time per week?
More if possible, but I'm willing to accept anything that's given to me.
Okay, and are you requesting that it be with all 4 children?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Jed, I'll start with you. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Candela, are you working through a 12-step program?
Yes, sir. I've already worked my 12-step.
You've completely finished the program? Finished 12?
Yes, sir, I have. And I also completed my ADAC a couple months ago.
All right. That's all I have. Pass with me.
Thanks, sir.
All right, let's see. Mr. Muller
No questions, Your Honor.
and Mr. Graves.
No questions.
All right, Mr. Harrelson, did you have any other witness you want to call?
Your Honor, I'd like to recall Stormy Mims briefly.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mims, you remain under oath. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Mims, regarding Isaiah, Barajas, and the children wanting to see Jonathan, does that include Isaiah Barajas?
Yes, it does.
Are you able to make any differentiation between Isaiah's need to see Jonathan and his biological children's need?
No.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Any questions, Mr. Jett?
None for me.
There you are.
And
Nothing
Mr.
for me, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Mr. Harrelson, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor. Nothing else.
Okay. Mr. Graves, did you have any witness you want to call?
No, sir.
All right. I'll bar you the rest. Mr. Graves, do you have a position on the motion for monitor return?
Your Honor, my communications with the children are they wanted to go home. I believe that's the testimony that's been provided. These children have been bumped around quite a bit, and I think that giving mom the chance to work the monitored return would be beneficial to all parties.
Thank you. Any other attorneys want to be heard on the motion for monitor return? I'll start with Mr. Jett. My understanding the department's supporting it.
Yes, Your Honor, we're in agreement with the monitored return to start as quick as early as today.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Muller, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Harrelson?
On the monitored return, Your Honor, Mr. Candela is in agreement.
All right, and regarding the visitation that's being recommended by the department, is there any objection in the court authorizing visitation with all the children as supervised by the department?
No
None for
objection.
me, Judge.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gregg.
Your Honor, I do not object to that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Muller?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, the court first will continue the department as temporary managing conservator of the children, and the court will grant the motion for monitor return, approve the children to be placed back on monitor return with the respondent mother in this case when y'all can get that arranged, I'll leave that to y'all to work out the timing and scheduling of that. I will lift the order of the court that previously ordered that Mr. Candela could not have any contact with the children and authorize the department to arrange supervised visitation, supervised by the department with him, with all the children in the case. They'll need to facilitate how that's going to work, just because I understand there's a no contact order as to Miss Flores, and so I could foresee potential of them having some contact at the point of the visitation. So I'll need to work through how that's going to happen, so there's no inadvertent violation of that bond while it remains in place. The court will, for now, I'm going to leave the next permanency hearing set on October 18th, 2021 at 9, and the trial set on November 19th, 2021 at 9. Given that we're doing a monitor turn, I may need to adjust those dates a little bit, and the dismissal date may change a little bit, but I'm going to leave those in place for now, pending a review of those, the dismissal date and deadline for the case. Ms. Flores and Mr. Candela, if we have a case like this, our goal at the start is for children to be back with parents. So I'm happy to hear that's what's happening, and a lot of that's due to what y'all been doing in this case. I would point out there was a very serious incident that got us where we are. But hopefully that type of activity and behavior is behind you both, and y'all will go forward and maintain a good relationship with the children and with each other as this case goes, as you go forward with the children. I encourage you to continue to work any services that may remain on your plans or any services you're otherwise participating in, because that can only benefit yourself and the children as the case goes forward. Ms. Flores, a monitor turn is kind of what it sounds like. The department has the right to make announcements and unannounced visits to home or wherever else the children are to check on the safety and welfare of the children. They have the right to remove the children from that placement if they determine it's necessary to protect the safety and welfare of the children. So they'll be involved to make sure they're being appropriately cared for, but just as importantly, and perhaps, well, just as importantly, certainly, they're there to try to help support that placement. Once we put children back with a parent, we'd like that to remain in place. So you're having issues or problems, we'll let them know, and maybe they can help you with those. Mr. Candela, I encourage you to continue your service as well. Sounds like you're making good progress. Hopefully we can get this case resolved here in the near future. Thank you very much. With that, I am required to notify any parent in this type of case that because of the nature of these proceedings, your parental custodial rights and duties to your children may be subject to restriction or even termination due to progress in any court orders or planned service will be reviewed at future hearings. With that, I wish you both the best of luck, and we'll be adjourned for the day. Thank you.
Yes, sir.